Welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to need a bolster or something that functions as a bolster, a big blanket rolled up. We'll also need a strap or something that functions as a strap, like a towel, and a block or something that functions as a block. You could use a rolled up bath towel or a ball. And we're going to begin our practice on our back. So find a comfortable position on your back. Bend your knees and bring your feet to the floor. Let the knees fall in and walk the feet wide enough apart so that your thighs rest on each other. Swing the arms off the mat, just a little off the mat, just to kind of give your chest a little bit more space, and rest the backs of the hands on the floor on either side of you. Soften your gaze or close your eyes, and then just check in with yourself this morning. How you doing? Noticing the tempo of your breath. And then just inquire, can you soften into this moment a little bit more? Can you surrender into what is a little bit more right now, whatever you're experiencing? And we'll begin our practice today by chanting 3 ohms. And keep in mind as you do this, Om consists of 3 syllables, Ah, O, and and see if you can really enunciate each of those syllables as you do it. Exhale to prepare. Inhale. Give yourself a morning stretch. Extend your arms and legs long. Perhaps taking a big, slow breath in as you lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Maybe there's a yawn there for you. And then draw the knees into the chest. Give the shins a hug. Rock side to side. Beginning with a more yin-like twist. We're just going to let the knees lazily go off to the left as you extend. Just extend both arms overhead, back behind us to the floor. It's okay if the legs don't completely stack. Here we're just looking to see how can we surrender to gravity and still allow the breath to come in full. And of course, if reaching the arms back behind you isn't the right choice for your shoulders, you can always bring your arms to a T position. Let the next 2 slow, full breaths help lengthen the right side of your trunk. slowly come on back through center. Let's move to the other side. Knees lazily go right. So every time we inhale, our spine very subtly lengthens. Just the processes of inhaling lengthens our spine. We don't have to consciously do anything. See if you can get in touch with that as you surrender to gravity here. Just feeling, inquiring, does my spine lengthen? Does it feel longer on the inhale? And each exhale, just letting go of something, maybe something physically, emotionally. And then slowly come back through center. We'll come to that constructive rest pose that we started in. Thighs resting together, feet wide. Bring one hand to your belly, one hand to your chest. Try to expand your belly and your chest slowly as you inhale. And as you exhale, just let it out through the mouth. Let's do that one more time. Now walk your feet closer together so they're about hips width distance apart. Preparing for a variation of bridge. We're going to move up and down into bridge as we do often in this class. It's called Viparampitam, or you could just call it bridge flow. Our arms are going to start alongside the body, and we're going to be articulating our spine as we come up and down. So first, let's just press our spine to the floor as we exhale. Press your low back, tighten your tummy, press low back to the floor. That's the exhale. And then the inhale, slowly lift your pelvis, low back, mid back, and coming all the way up. Careful that the knees don't splay as you come up. On the exhale, rolling down one vertebrae at a time. Use your tummy pulling in tight to help press low back to the mat. And pelvis is the last thing to come down. Let's add the arms. Inhale, lifting, reaching. Arms come back behind you. Exhale, rolling down the spine one vertebrae at a time. Arms alongside the body. Keep moving with your breath, articulating the spine. Slow the breath down. Keep the gaze looking up as you do this, particularly as the hips are in the air. We want to make sure we don't compromise the neck. Let's do this a couple more times. Next time the hips are in the air and the arms are back behind you, keep the left arm resting on the floor behind you, but exhale, roll down the spine and swing your right arm alongside the body. Right arm comes alongside the body. You're going to rest like this, hips on the floor, left arm back behind you, but just simply turn your head to the right. And a very yin-like pose here. We're just simply resting and letting gravity help give the left side of the neck a stretch as we look the opposite direction of our arms behind us. And then exhale fully. And inhale, slowly roll up the spine. As you lift the hips, gaze to the ceiling. Right arm comes back behind you. We'll do the other side. Exhale, rolling down. Left arm alongside the body. Turn your head to the left. Now your hips are on the floor. Just resting here. Right arm back behind you. Soften your jaw. Easy breath. Exhale completely. Inhale, roll up the spine, left arm back behind you, gaze to the ceiling, hips in the air. And then next exhale, roll down the spine. Arms come alongside the body. Pause. Hips on the mat. Interlace your fingers. Rotate your palms towards the ceiling. Straightening the elbows as much as you can. And now try to part your shoulder blades as you're doing this. You're going to, as you part your shoulder blades, you're reaching your palms as far as you can towards the ceiling. And in fact, the reach is what causes the shoulder blades to part. Maybe you can get your thumbs a little closer to the ceiling than the pinkies. Keep breathing. And you're welcome to stay here if this is a good stretch for you. I'm going to encourage you to move your arms overhead any amount until it feels like just the perfect stretch for the arms and wrists. So you might move more at a diagonal, or maybe the arms come all the way back towards the floor. Wherever you choose to be, take a round or two of breath. And then slowly release, roll the wrists. And then squeeze the hands tightly into a fist and then extend the fingers brightly. Squeeze, jazz hands, squeeze, jazz hands. And shaking the hands off. Reach for your block or whatever is going to function as your block. We need something that's going to lift the hips up off the floor. So we'll come into first a supported bridge on its lowest setting, the block if you have one. Maybe a couple of books would work well here. We want to be sure that the item is on under our bottom. We don't want it on our back. Draw your left knee into the chest. And now I want you to scoop your tailbone. So if you had a tail, imagine you're kind of tucking your tail between your legs as you do this. Hollow your belly and your hip points, your hip bones. It's like you're trying to lift your hip bones to have them look at your face. Kind of they're saying hello. And then extend your right leg long. Lift it up off the floor just so it's horizontal to the floor and reach through that right heel. As you reach strongly through the right leg, you hopefully will be feeling a stretch in the front of that hip. And we're scooping our tail because that's going to help us send the stretch into the front of the right hip. You might even feel it in the top of the thigh. Heel the toes towards the knee. Reach the heel, reaching right out of that hip socket. And then start to roll the ankle, just circles with that ankle. Hollow belly, circles the other direction. And then slowly draw right knee into chest. Let's extend the other leg. Second side. Reach, straighten, reach, 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 reach. Hollow belly. And it's almost like maybe you're trying to reach something with that left heel. Reaching, reaching, or pushing something away. You're pushing the left foot into an imaginary wall. Feel your breath. And then let's warm up the ankles. So circles and the other direction. Drawing left knee into chest now. And then return both feet to the floor. You're going to lift your hips, take your block or whatever you're using, bring it between the thighs, gently squeeze the block. So we're squeezing this item, we're strengthening the inner thighs here as we gently squeeze the item. Maybe squeezing a little bit harder. One more round of breath. And then soften, release. Put your block aside. Recline, cobbler's pose. Bring the soles of the feet together and just letting the knees open out. Some of you might find supporting the legs in some way will be most relaxing for you in this posture, like having maybe a block underneath the outer knees or pillows. Feel free to do that if you like. We're going to be here for a few breaths, lengthening the back of the pelvis towards the front of the mat. Let the pelvis, the belly rather, get soft. And in these more kind of yin-like stretches, we're not actively doing anything. We're just being receptive to however much our body feels able to release in the moment. Now you're going to take your hands and bring them to the very tops, the upper thigh bone, right where your legs turn into your pelvis. They kind of plug in. I'm going to bring a hand on either side so that your index finger is in contact with the hip crease. And then just gently push your thigh bones rather, directly away from the top of your mat, away from your shoulders. Just a gentle little kind of moving where you're just creating a little space in the hips. I'm still letting my legs just kind of swing open, but I'm just lengthening. And you might find that you get a little bit of spinal length here as you're creating a little traction. And then release. And then help those knees come together with the hands. Help them in. Thighs stay touching. Walk your feet a little wider. Constructive rest. And then here, I encourage you just to explore how pleasurable would it feel to walk the feet away from each other while keeping the thighs touching. Like you may find a point where your knees start to ache. You've gone too wide. But maybe going a little bit wider in the feet than you normally do in constructive rest would be pleasurable right now. And then walk the feet back together, or that direction. We're going to do one more bridge. For this bridge, I'd like you to have your arms alongside the body, grab a hold of the edges of your mat, and then bend your elbows, press them into the mat, and lift your chest a little bit as you walk your shoulder blades together or towards each other underneath you. It's going to flatten them out. And then from here, press the feet down, lift the hips up. Please keep your gaze looking up as you do this. And we'll just hold bridge. Let's do it for about 3 breaths here. We want to energetically be drawing the inner thighs towards one another, reaching the knees towards the top, the front of our mat, reaching our heart towards the back of our mat, chin pointing towards the sky. Last breath, strong glutes. And then slowly rolling down. Roll to one side, come on up to hands and knees. Okay. Spreading the fingers real wide, make sure your wrists are directly underneath your shoulders or maybe a little bit forward if the wrists are feeling tender. Of course, you're always welcome to come to fists as well. Doing a little Chakra Vikasana. Inhale, arch the back, lifting the head and tail. Exhale, round the back. Draw the navel to the spine as you reach your hips back towards your heels. Release your head to the mat, like child's pose. And then as you inhale, you come back up through hands and knees, move into your back bend. And then the exhale, part the shoulder blades, hips go back towards heels. Release the head to the mat. Just like that. Let's do that a few more times, continuing to increase range of motion in the spine. Once more. And then we'll pause in child's pose. Let's take it into a side stretch. Walk your hands to the left. Lengthening the right side of the trunk. And then walking your hands to the right. And come on up. Increasing hip mobility. Shift your weight into, let's do this. Shift your weight into your left knee, and please place a pad underneath your knees if you need. If you can't have pressure on your knees for long, sit tight, and I'll show you a variation. But you're going to slowly lift your right knee out, kind of like a dog finding a fire hydrant, and then you're going to keep that knee bent and swing it back behind you. So now my heel is moving towards my rear, and then circling the knee towards the chest. Try to keep your tummy in and not moving the spine, and circling out, fire hydrant. As you're doing this, you're doing these small circles. You're rotating, opening up the knee as you open out, and then you rotate your inner thigh towards the ceiling as you point the knee back. It's kind of an external rotation, internal rotation. Keep your tummy in. Okay. If hands and knees don't work for you, you can just find a spot at the wall and just do that here. So you're kind of moving the knee in and out. You can just do this standing up. Go the other direction now, rotating back and then out, forward, back, and out. Do that twice more. And returning the knee to the mat. Second side, left knee swings out, back, and forward. Circles with that left knee. And let the circles be tiny if they need to be. That's totally fine. externally rotating as you swing out the inner thigh, internally rotating the inner thigh as you swing it back. Keep tummy in, pelvic floor slightly lifted. Go the other direction. And see if you can keep the hips level as you do this too. Sometimes there's a tendency to kind of like take the whole body with you as you're doing this. You want to just keep this right in the hip. Burns a little bit more when you do that too, yeah? Hooray! Okay. Both knees back to the mat. If you've been using the wall, please come back to the mat and then come onto your belly. Bring your arms alongside the body. We're going to do half locust. Keep your feet pressing into the mat. Lengthen the back of your pelvis towards your heels as you draw your tummy in, and then lift your chest and your arms. Thumbs will be pointing down, palms facing each other. Really shorten the space between your scapula, your shoulder blades, gazing at the top of the mat. On an exhale, return to the floor, bringing your left cheek to the mat. On an inhale, come back up. On an exhale, return to the floor, bring your right cheek to the mat. Inhale, come back up. Keep pressing the tops of the feet into the floor. So it's just half locust. It's like a cobra with no arms. And then place the hands underneath the shoulders. Come on up, Chakra Vikasana. Exhale, round the back, rear towards heels. Let your head go. Inhale, come on up to your back bend, all fours. Exhale, rounding, coming back to the heels. And then inhale, come on up, hands and knees. We'll pause here. Okay, so extend your right leg back behind you, toe tuck, stretch the back leg. Those of you who can't put a lot of pressure on your knees, sit tight. I'll show you a variation at the wall. Now swing your back heel down. Make sure your left hand is just a little bit in front of the left shoulder, so a little bit closer to the top of the mat than the left shoulder. And then swing your bottom foot, swing it out. Now you got a nice firm base. Sweep your top arm up, and we're just going to circle it, big circles. Keep your tummy in. Those of you who prefer to not have pressure on your knees, you will just be standing at the wall and circling opposite arm. And then extend that right arm straight up. Activate your glutes, and then lift the back leg and lower it. Lift it any amount, foot flex, lower it. Keep going. Those of you at the wall, you just lift. It's kind of like you're a leaning starfish. Arms out, and your starfish doing leg lifts. This is kind of like a half moon pose, and then we'll all pause with the foot lifted. If you're feeling a lot of pressure on your wrist, you're always welcome to come on to fist, but maybe that hand just needs to come forward a little bit so that you're not in such a deep compression of the wrist. One more breath. Broad chest. And then exhale, circle back down. Take a child's pose. You can have your knees together or wide. Few breaths here, just resting. Second side, come on up. Extend your left leg back behind you, toe tuck. Let's give the back calf a little stretch. Make sure your right wrist is just a little bit in front of the right shoulder. And then kick your right foot out as you open up. Okay. So my right foot is spilling off the mat. And then start to circle the top arm, big circles. And do your best to keep your chest broad here, opening up. Some of you might enjoy looking at the ceiling as you open up. Of course, some of you may need to be doing this at the wall. Go the other direction with your circle. And then we'll extend the left arm straight up. And now lifting and lowering the top leg. Lift and lower. Now how high that leg gets doesn't matter. What does matter is, are you breathing? Is your chest open? Are we feeling some strengthening going on in that left glute? And then we'll pause. Left leg straight, strong, lifted, any amount. We're stacking our left hip over our right. Shoulders are stacked. Last breath. And then circling down. Child's pose. And then let's meet on our belly once more. If you tend to have a tight low back and you find that these belly down back bends just leave you feeling kind of like your back feels achy, have your blanket and have your belly and your chest on the blanket. That might help give your low back a little bit more length. And then reach for your strap or whatever's functioning as your strap. Lengthen your tailbone towards your heels. That's also going to create more space in the low back. And we're going to grab a hold of our towel or our blanket to help broaden the chest. You're going to keep your forehead on the mat for a second. I'm not going to do it because the sound's going to get weird. But forehead's resting down, holding on to whatever is going to help you in the spine. And then try to rip that item apart as you draw your shoulder blades a little closer together. You're always welcome to stay here with your forehead on the floor, opening the chest. If you like, come into half locust, lifting the chest. Feet are on the floor. Legs are strong, glutes are strong. We're strengthening the back body here. Lots of strength. Help us stand up tall. One more breath, maybe getting a little taller, a little longer, a little higher, and then release. Bring one cheek to the mat and shimmy the hips. Turn your head, bring your opposite cheek to the mat, even out the stretch. And then place your hands underneath your shoulders, Chakra Vikasana. Inhale, broad chest. This is your back bend. Exhale, around the back, navel to spine, rear to heels. Let your head go. The inhale brings you up through all fours, back bend. Exhale, round your back, part your shoulder blades, rear to heels. Once more. Now let's all take our knees wide. Child's pose. Now you have a couple options here. You're welcome to stay in this wide-kneed child's pose. If you like a downward dog, now's a good time to do that if you want to get your downward dog time in. Another option is puppy pose. So puppy pose would be knees on the mat, hips are over knees, and then with really strong, straight arms, you walk the hands forward. I like to take my hands actually a little wider than my shoulders as I do this. Keep the elbows off the mat. You're really strong. It's like half of a dog pose. Lifting the hips. So in your puppy, dog, or child's pose for about 3 more breaths. And then come on up. Come to a cross-legged position, right shin in front. Oh, and actually, before you do that, let's locate our blanket and just fold it up so that your hips are a little higher than the floor. And then sitting cross-legged. We want to keep some shape in the right foot. So the foot's kind of flexed, toes are peeling back. Bring your palms together in front of your heart. Exhale completely. Inhale, reach out and up. Exhale, fold over. So you're folding over, the right shin is in front. Let your belly get soft here. And you're welcome to stay here in stillness. I also encourage you to explore a little movement if that feels nice for you. Do you want to rock a little slowly side to side? Do you want to move your hands to the left or right? What feels most pleasurable for you right now? And now inhale, come on up. You're going to kick out your left leg. Bring your right foot to the outside of the opposite leg. And hug the shin. Sit up nice and tall. Now with a nice long straight spine, inhale, lengthen. And then exhale, let's twist to the right. You can hug that knee with the left arm. Right hand back behind you. Looking over the right shoulder as far as feels pleasurable and helpful for you today. Keep your chin slightly down and your throat and head back a little. Exhale. When your inhale arrives, untwist. And bring the sole of your right foot to the inner thigh, preparing for Janu Shirshasana. Inhale, reach arms up. Exhale, fold over left leg. Now, where your hands land doesn't matter. What matters is, are you breathing? Are you feeling a good stretch? So you could just have the hands on the floor. Maybe you grab a hold of some part of your body. Let your head lower. Soften your eyes and just breathe. Do your best to reach your heart towards your foot. And then inhale, come on up. And you're going to turn towards your right knee. I'm going to be turning away from the camera. Left hand to the inside of the extended leg. Right arm reaches out. You're welcome to stay here. Or if it feels okay for your body, reach that right arm overhead. We're creating, once again, more length in that right side of the trunk. Let the measure of this pose be your breath, not not how far you're reaching your arms or legs in any direction. And then come on up. Vikasana, cross-legged position now, left shin in front. Palms come together in front of your heart. Exhale. Inhale, reach out and up. Exhale, fold over crossed shins. And of course, inviting in a little bit of movement, a little exploration on this side. Soften your face and your mouth. Soften your tongue. Exhale completely. Let it out the mouth. And then inhale and come on up. Ardha Matsyendrasana. On the other side, extend the right leg straight. Left foot outside of that straightened leg. Hug the shin to get tall. And then as you're ready, with an exhale, twist to your left. Relaxing the shoulders away from the ears as you lift your heart up out of the way. Head turning as far to the left as feels pleasurable. Chin slightly down, head and throat back. Exhale. Inhale, untwist. Janu Shirshasana. Left foot, inner thigh, right to the right inner thigh. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. In this position, let your shoulder blades part. Maybe the hands grab a hold of something. You're welcome to let the spine round here, but make sure that it's not like really rounded at just one point. Like let it be a nice, subtle, gradual arch if that feels pleasurable to you. And for the last breath or so, can you lower the left side of your trunk a little further towards the floor as you reach your heart further from your navel? Let the inhale bring you back up. Cobbler's pose, soles of the feet together. If you haven't already, inch further off your blanket so that the bowl of your pelvis is filling forward. It's tilted down. The front of the pelvis is tilted down. And sit up as tall as you can. You can grab a hold of your legs, straightening the elbows, and let the arms be like tethers here. And you're kind of pulling away from the legs. The chest is rather. The arms are keeping you there. Relax the shoulders away from the ears and then drop your chin to your chest. Roll left ear to left shoulder. Pause there. And chin to chest. Right ear to right shoulder. Pause there. And the tether of your left arm is helping draw the left shoulder away from the ear. And chin to chest. Extend the legs out in front of you. Walk the hands away from the, walk the hands back behind you. Fingers are pointing away from each other. Bend the elbows straight back and lift the chest, gaze forward, or start to lift the chin until the throat and the back of the neck feel equally long. Broad chest. One more breath. And then walking the hands forward. Okay, so Shavasana, you're welcome to come just laying flat, or you can follow along with me and we'll come into a supported back bend for relaxation pose. So you take your blanket, rolling it up. Now you have a bolster. Bring the long ends of your blanket or bolster to parallel the long ends of your mat, and you're going to sit in front. And I like to give my rears just a little bit of space in between the short end of my bolster. Oh, and if you have something to slide underneath your knees, it's quite fantastic for this. So if that's a possibility for you, grab some more blocks or pillows. And then laying back. And now my head and my upper spine is supported by the bolster. Let the backs of the hands just spill off either side of the mat. Body heavy on the floor. Closing the eyes. Let gravity draw the back of each shoulder on either side of the bolster. Let gravity just get those guys heavy to the mat, heavy towards the floor. And as you settle in to Shavasana, I'd like to read you a quote from, I like to pull tarot cards sometimes, and I have this deck called Osho Zen Tarot that I like a lot. And recently I pulled this card called No Thingness. It's just a black card. But I really liked the read up on it, and I thought maybe you might too. So it's talking about being in a gap, in a place where there's kind of no plans, and how that can kind of lend ourselves to being more mindful, more present in this experience. Being in the gap can be disorienting and even scary. Nothing to hold on to, no sense of direction, not even a hint of what choices and possibilities might lie ahead. But it is just this state of pure potential that exists before the universe was created. All you can do now is relax into nothingness, fall into this silence between words, watch this gap between the outgoing and incoming breath, and treasure each empty moment of experience. Something sacred is about to be born. Deepen your breath. Beginning to wiggle your fingers and toes. Moving a little more and more until you're ready for a morning stretch. And then gently roll to one side into a fetal position. Using the strength of your top arm to bring yourself to a comfortable seat of your choice. We'll meet with our palms together in front of our heart. And just taking a pause in this gap between our yoga practice and the rest of our day. The rest of our day, a complete mystery. Anything could happen. And just being open to the mystery. If you'd like to dedicate your practice to someone special, visualize them now wherever they are in their day. See their face. And we'll gather up the goodness on the inhale and send it out on the exhale. Big breath in. Send it out. See them smiling, feeling good in their body, heart, and mind. Thank you so much for your practice. Namaste.